just smacked me in the face.
Oh my goodness.
It's really
in a good way.
I got the onions cooking, you know, it's the trick.
I feel like onions and garlic, you
start
can't go
sauteing
wrong.
onions and garlic the moment I walk in here, spritz a little cologne, I'm good to go.
Nothing like cologne mixed with chili. There you go, firefighter Tim. All right, okay, so you and Tracy did the ribs earlier. It literally was like fall off the bone.
So they just come right out. So we've got they just literally will
delicious.
come off. You can throw these bones right away.
Yes.
And you're good to go.
Now, do you do this often? Because I know obviously typical hamburger meat, but do you do
I
this?
don't. So I've been thinking about that. I make these ribs a lot, but I don't, I've never made chili with it until I think I started talking last year to producer Janine. I was like, I make these ribs. I want to make them on here. They're so easy.
Yeah.
The kids love them. They're just simple. They're great, but I think it'd be really good in chili. I mean, like, how could that go wrong? And I'm normally a ground beef, although I make chili with steak.
Yeah.
I make chili with ground beef and steak or chicken. Very rarely do I do it without meat, but I know a lot of people that do. So
Yes.
it has some sort of protein in there that I normally use. But and I wasn't wrong. It's really good with the rib meat.
It's really
and I
good.
almost added some flank steak just to throw in there, and then it was
Yeah.
so good I didn't. But what I've got,
you didn't need it. That's a good problem. Yeah.
So what I've got going right now in my pot in the big stock pan, I've about 30 minutes, and this is something that Ian Reppert, one of the firefighters I talk about a lot on here, he does. So whole peeled tomatoes, and I've just been letting those simmer for about a half hour. And while those are simmering, I start sauteing I've got two bell peppers, and I like, you can use any bell pepper. I kind of like these red and yellow striped. I get at Kroger, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
One jalapeno, and that is deveined and de-seeded. And so I'll let those start cooking and sauteing.
Okay.
And while those are just sauteing a little bit.
And I know we talk about that a lot too. It is nice to saute these vegetables a little bit before.
I
do
like
the
it. I
same
think
thing
it
at
helps
home, yeah.
with my kids. You know, if it had any crunch to it, they would be like, so it softens them.
Right.
And it helps pull out all those flavors, kind of infuse them.
Yeah.
Next, I'm going to just take those whole peeled tomatoes and I crush those up.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of giving those a nice little crush. Just kind of crushing all those in there. And then, while we're kind of waiting for that to saute, I'm going to go ahead and add some of my dry seasoning. So really a lot of it on this one is going to be more back to my old speed, which is to taste. So a little bit of chili powder.
I feel like a lot of times I made a soup the other night and I'm like, I don't really measure a whole lot in terms of spices. I just,
I know.
this looks
You
good,
just got to,
and
I kind of eyeball it now, I know.
Yeah.
I do have measurements on the website, but you know what? Experiment. Have some fun with it.
That's right.
So that was some
right.
cumin. Of course, some Hungarian paprika.
Of course.
Some smoked Hungarian paprika. A little bit of black pepper.
Now, do you make it differently for the kids? Like, because I know I like a little kick, some spice.
I try to make it not so spicy, and then we can always add stuff.
That's
That was the
right.
other thing.
Yeah.
With the tomatoes, the whole can, I do a can of Rotel also. So, and I did the mild because of the kids. And then a little bit of ground garlic. And then speaking of the garlic, I like to wait to put this in so it doesn't burn until the end. So a little bit of minced garlic with my peppers and onions. And those will be still sauteing over there. And then, literally, like I said, you can just shred this rib meat.
Just shred it with your fingers?
Just shred it with your fingers. I used a fork last night, and then I realized I looked around and I didn't have a fork.
I wondered if you cut it into smaller pieces or if you just leave it into those
it just
chunkier
shreds
pieces
up.
like that.
It just shreds up, especially
Okay.
once it gets in there. Something else I'm going to add, and I forgot to, was I like a big can of Brooks chili beans. And then I'm also going to add, I've got some black and red kidney beans. So we'll add those. Get this stirring up a little bit more as I fling rib meat everywhere.
That's all right.
Rib meat's getting flung, so we're getting that nice little stir. And then I like to add a little bit of
yeah,
spicy,
we use that too.
Yeah, a little spicy V8.
Okay.
And with the ribs, I kind of like having the beef broth here, so a little bit of beef broth. And now we can add back our peppers.
Okay.
Put those in there.
I like that you have this big pot too.
Oh yeah,
Like
you should see that.
Fill it up as much
This
as you
isn't
like.
my biggest pot that I have at home, and at the fire station we have some that are,
I bet.
3 times this size.
Yeah.
So once we get that going, we're just going to add.
Oh, that looks good. And I think that one of the greatest things about chili, regardless, is you're able to keep it in the fridge. I feel like it's always better the next day.
It's so much better the next day. It's one of those things, and that's what was nice. So so we'll get that stirring. I'm going to take this off, and I've got our finished chili back here.
Ah, nice.
And so I made this last night. Made the ribs during the day, peeled them off, and then they're just ready to
look
go.
at that.
And so simple. I mean, again, it really is. What's nice is I have a tendency to overcook.
Yeah.
Right? I've got these kids. I'm used to cooking
You're
for
used to
14
cooking. Yeah, exactly.
firefighters. So then I make it, and we have all this leftover. And so I've really been trying to do better about taking whatever my leftover protein, whatever that is, whether it's turned into a stir fry, whether it's
Right.
turned into a chili or a stew,
And use it for something
and then we
else.
use it the next day, and it eliminates having to cook.
There you go. Tim, thank you so much.
There's
I cannot
this.
wait to dig in. That looks delicious.
Yeah.
Put your crackers on, put your toppings on. You're good to go. Appreciate it, Tim.